Hello and welcome to Tomi Talks TV. I have one singular goal with this show, and that is to help you make smarter decisions so that you can have better relationships. I'd like to start as usual by saying a very big thank you. Thank you for all your likes and your shares and your comments on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. I really, really appreciate you because you're helping us spread the message further, faster. So thank you very much indeed. Now, today I'd like to take another one of your questions, and it goes like this. How do I cope with an introvert husband who uses attitude to communicate his feelings? So, for example, if I have done something that he's not happy with, he won't tell me. He will simply stop doing the basic things that he does around the house. He won't eat the food I cook. He won't respond to my greetings or gestures. It is only from his attitude that I'm able to conclude that something is wrong. I then have to try and figure out what I did or said wrong, because if I ask him, he won't tell me. He will simply say that I should go and think about what I did last week or on such and such a day. I've talked to him about this, but there seems to be no change. I've prayed about it and I've done everything I know how to do, but to no avail. What should I do? Now, this is quite a challenging place to find yourself in. Unfortunately, it is a fairly common problem in marriages. So sometimes people develop bad communication habits growing up, and then they bring those habits into marriage. I always believe that if people knew better, they would do better. So, often when people have established an unhealthy pattern of behavior as they were growing up, it's because they didn't know, how to process their feelings better. And probably they cannot see that this is not the way to manage a marriage relationship, because this is simply what they're used to doing. This is how they've grown up. This is how they, maybe this is how they manage relationships in the family that they grew up in. So they don't know any other way to handle their emotions. But the thing is they forget that their spouse is not a mind reader. Introverts in particular often find it hard to express their feelings in words, so they sometimes resort to what is called passive aggressive behavior. So passive aggressive behavior is simply, when you're doing things rather than expressing yourself in words, you're doing things to hurt the other person, hoping that that will get their attention. And sometimes introverts use this sort of approach to communicate their feelings. Now, passive aggressive behavior is unhealthy for relationships because it takes a lot longer to clear the air when the other person does not even know what they have done wrong. So, I really want to say a word to introverts. I understand, I get it that sometimes, when someone is an introvert, it's very challenging for them to share their feelings with words, and they're trying to figure out, how do I process this? And the fact is, no one can hurt you as deeply as someone you love, because you love your spouse, and especially when you live with them day in, day out, it's easy to assume that they should naturally know what hurts you. However, we are all human beings, we all have limitations, and once we get married, every day is a learning process. Learning about how to love your spouse better, how to understand them better, and we need to learn how to give grace to the other person, just as God has given grace to us. And part of that is believing that if they've hurt you, they've done it unintentionally. Your job is then to help them to see what is actually hurting you, so that you can make things right. So that's really, really important. Punishing your spouse through withdrawal is an unhealthy approach to conflict resolution. Allowing your anger to fester for days while your spouse is trying to figure out what went wrong, that's not, it's not a healthy approach to marriage, and it just leaves room for the devil to interfere in the harmony of your home. So the Bible says in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 to 27, it says, "And don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil." Anger gives a foothold to the devil, and especially anger that is allowed to age, and it goes from one day to the next. Because, if you're not talking to your spouse for several days, obviously your anger is growing on the inside of you. So, back to the question as to what can be done to change this sort of situation, I would say Don't give up trying to communicate with your husband, but don't do it at a time when he's upset with you. So find a different time when probably he's more relaxed, and then try to share with him your feelings about this. Take the time to explain to him that you're really committed to your marriage and to loving him, and help him to see that you want to understand him better, but he needs to find a way to express himself and explain himself to you in order for you to understand him better. Let him know that you won't ever do anything deliberately to hurt him. So if something goes wrong, or if you've done something wrong, then he should assume that it's a mistake, and you are therefore not aware of what you have done. And you're open to that feedback. So you need to be able to communicate to him that you love him, but unless he's prepared to share with you how to love him better, then he's leaving you open to guesswork and assumptions, and you're very likely to guess wrong. And then also, I should say that when he does share his feelings with you, don't overreact, as that might discourage him and make him withdraw. And next time maybe he'll decide not to share his feelings again. But be open, ready to apologize. Sometimes you may not even understand why he's reacting to what you've done, the way he's reacting, or why it matters so much to him. But even if you don't fully understand, if it matters to him, it should matter to you. So on that basis, you just be open to receive that feedback and make an apology. This will be a journey, and to be honest, when a person is used to this kind of pattern of behavior, it often doesn't change overnight. It takes a while for them to develop new habits. But the first thing is for them to actually recognize that this is not it's not a healthy approach to marriage, and then to begin to learn new ways of communicating their feelings and expressing themselves. But I trust God, with time and effort, if you don't give up on this, that you will see some improvement eventually. Well, I hope this has helped you. If this has helped you, then please leave me a message on Facebook, on Instagram, or YouTube, or wherever it is you're watching. And if you've got a question you would like me to answer, then head on over to tomitalks.com/ask, and I'll answer your question next time. See you next time. Bye bye.